So we have a background canvas, and this is just for our image. And then we have a quiz canvas here. And what I'd like to do is with our quiz text, I'd like to add a couple buttons below this. All right, so let's right click on our quiz canvas, go to UI here, go to button, Text Mesh Pro. Remember what I told you before, if you don't see your button, you want to select your quiz canvas here and look for sort order. And like I said, I set mine to 50. You could set yours anything higher than 0 so that this canvas appears in front. This is a little different than the order of placing objects in the scene. All right, so let's take a quick look at how a button is set up. So when you click on button here, you have your renderer for your canvas, the image of your button. So let's say we wanted one of these other images to appear as our button. I'm just going to click through really quick. And you could see here actually when they have these lines here, this is actually a sliced image. So if I select this, you can see I can click on that. And, with that source image, it's a little bit awkward, but if we go down to, let's see, well, we'll get to like fully setting it up, but a couple other things as we go down here. This is all the properties that control the image. If we don't want our button to be interactable, that means we don't want it to click. We could just uncheck this and it'll get grayed out. I'm not going to use any of these color tint options. You could later in another project, but for example, like if I change this highlight color to red and I press play, if I scroll over this button, it'll actually highlight it the color red. See that as I go over it? But what I want to do is I want to simplify this because I'm going to be using, so go ahead and click on this now. I'm going to be using this on-click section here is where we add scripts, like different events that happen. Underneath the button, we have a text object here, a Text Mesh Pro object here. And I wanted to show you too, so this is GUI 52. So if I click on that, let's actually go up here to GUI, and then we're going to go to Open Sprite Editor. And we're just going to say, you know what, like this option here, right? Remember, we can kind of see these different, oh, I think we need to go to, yeah, that's right, Open Sprite Editor for this one. And editing is disabled during play mode. Oh, okay, I was wondering why I couldn't select it. So you can see this one is sliced into these different sections here. So that's GUI 10 actually. So I'm going to name this button, and we'll use this for a button. And apply that. And I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and it'll add GUI button at the bottom here. And if we look here, you could see there's just different things within this, like, for sprite mode, typed, all that stuff. All right, so let's go back to our button here, and I'm going to grab my GUI button, drop that in there. And I think that looks pretty good. Now, we never cut these. So like you want to make sure that under here, if it's under image simple, you could see it kind of stretches it out. But if we go down here, we can do use sliced here, and then it'll do fill center. And, if we do per pixel and we bring this up, you'll see it fits the section of the sprite, right? Depending on, it's starting to look more like this. So if we make this 2 or even 3 here, now it fits a little bit better to what the image is going to look like. So if I hit T here and I scale this down and out like this, you can see now it looks a lot more like the image itself. So I'm just kind of pulling each one of these sides out a little bit. I might just type in 1600 for width here, and then just to make sure that it's evened out like that, I'll just kind of pull down the height. I'm also going to hit a space here, and then inside of these two parentheses, I'm going to enter a 0. And the reason for that is it'll add the number after it, that 0, 1, 2. And then what I can do with this is I can bring it down. Now we're going to use forms and stuff maybe later, so I can show you how we can use a form itself to, again, get these to set out evenly. So, but I just want to show you, like, that's another way of kind of setting up your buttons. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's add a button layout group. So go ahead and create an empty object here. Name this answer button group. And then add component, start typing out layout, and you could see grid layout group, horizontal layout group, vertical layout group. So let's go ahead and select the vertical layout group. Now, in order to make something work in this layout group is we have to grab our button and make it a child. And now you could see that it made it a child of this answer button layout group. Now here you'll see that it adjusted the position over based on this. So actually if you want to drag that up, let's just make the position on X 0 and position on Z 0. Let's see, Y minus 569. So let's actually select this button as well. Go here, you can see that it's left aligned. I'm going to hold Control Alt and make sure that it's in the center. Now when I drop it on here, it should center itself. Let's see. Oh, that's still in the corner. We want to make sure that's in the center there. That all of these are centered. So I'm going to click on that, center it, Control Shift, center that. And let's actually take this out for a second, see why it's doing that. Okay, it's centered. Control Shift, center that. Control Alt and center that. It looks like it's completely centered now. Is my pivot point in the center? Yeah. Oh, if I click on my answer button layout group here, I want to make sure, let's see. That looks centered. Let's see, why is my button? Actually, the reason it's not is because my answer button group is so tiny, now that I think about it. So I actually have to make sure that this button group sort of matches the entire area I want this to be in. There we go. And now with our button, we can center this depending on where we want it in the group. So here's our answer button group. You can see we have padding around the edges of it, and I want it to be, let's say, upper center. And now that'll center that out. And so now when I duplicate these, you'll see that they'll just kind of place them inside of there. And then within this, I'll have the, we can do top padding, we can bring that down or up depending on how much we want to squeeze these buttons in there. And we could just keep duplicating them and then I'll have them in this group. So it's nice, it all evenly lays it out for us. And then child force expand width and height, that's like the top and the bottom. So do you see the text inside of here where it just says button? What I want to do is I want the children to also be expanded. So on our button group, go ahead for control children size and make that the width and height as well. So that'll control those text boxes on the inside. The last thing I want to do in this video is just give it a little bit of spacing just so that they don't look so stacked on top of each other. I think that looks pretty good. And I think I'm going to have 4 answers to every question. So I'm just going to duplicate this last option. And then again, just on your own, go play with this spacing so it doesn't look weird. You can also play with the size of the group so that you make sure it fits inside of there. This how are you question, quiz text here could probably be a little higher and stretched out as well. And then we could just grab this answer button group and just kind of pull that up a little bit. Maybe we'll add a line here so it separates the question from the answers. Anyway, that's it for now.